morning and welcome to CNN Live and the beautiful game. Yes, the Cup of Life is finally underway. 2014 FIFA World Cup got underway late last night in Sao Paulo, Brazil, with Brazil, the hosts, getting away with a victory. And to talk about that, our two knights in shining armor. We can see your sleepy eyes, Novi Kapadia and Karim and Sharifa. Trust me, a long way to go before you finally get some sleep at night. But before we get to Novi and Karim, let's take you through our headlines right at this moment. A fantastic opening ceremony which was expectedly not up to the mark. Very impressive, but hardly making any cut with the viewers at least. Brazil get away with a win, 3-1 over Croatians, but the dodgy defense leaves a lot to talk about for Coach Scolari. And even as the Cup of Life comes home to Brazil after 64 years, the protests continue. Is it a time for passion and apathy to have collided in Brazil? Right, let's take you through what happened first. The 2014 FIFA World Cup officially getting underway late last night with a buoyant opening ceremony in Sao Paulo. Now, the curtain raiser to the sport's greatest spectacle paid tribute to Brazil's culture, people, and above all, its love for football. The entire show revolved around a living ball that took center stage on the Arena de Sao Paulo pitch. Now, 660 performers participating in 3 acts in the lead up to the grand finale. The central ball opening up to reveal Claudia Leite, Jennifer Lopez and Pitbull as they encapsulated a capacity crowd of over 70,000 with their rendition of We Are One, the World Cup's official song. But I'm sure they left a lot to be desired from the standard of what was on view. All right, Novi Kapadia, Karim and Sharifa, I'm sure from your expectation, from the looks on your faces right at this point of time, you were expecting a lot from the opening ceremony, considering the fact that we've had such glamorous and fantastic opening ceremonies in previous editions. Novi, this was certainly not up to the mark.
Yeah, but you know, Football World Cup generally doesn't give importance to an opening ceremony. It's not a multi-sport event like the Olympics or the Asian Games or Commonwealth Games,
right,
where the opening and closing ceremonies are so integral to the integration and harmony of these games. And it was short and brief. That was good. And I think finally the song was the ultimate climax. I mean, Pitbull, Claudia and Jennifer Lopez. Yeah. And they tried to amalgamate a lot, the Brazilian culture, the vastness of the geography, the Amazon forest, the oneness of the world. So I think that caused the problem, that they tried to integrate too many themes in a short period of time.
In a sense, they were possibly trying too hard like Neymar did, which we will talk about in a while. But Karim, obviously, when you have stars like Jennifer Lopez and Pitbull, you expect a lot more of energy and, something little more. Maybe the tunes were not as catchy. The numbers, the renditions were not really great, because one remembers Shakira's Waka Waka song and the other opening ceremonies. Novi is right, football doesn't need it, but it's more of a televised spectacle. But something, which left everybody, even a lot of celebrities on Twitter, saying that, hey, we stayed up to watch this, but we didn't get our money's worth.
Yeah, possibly if you compare it to the opening ceremony of South Africa, South Africa opening ceremony last World Cup was more colorful. But one thing that was noted is usually there is speeches of the president and of the president of the country and the president of FIFA, which they didn't do yesterday. It seems they was hiding.
He was hiding. Well said, indeed. We'll get away with that, and let's get back to the action now. Riding on a little fortune that bested their dodgy defense, Brazil started the 2014 FIFA World Cup campaign with a 3-1 win over Croatia in the Group A opener at the Arena Corinthians in Sao Paulo. The home crowd was stunned into silence in the 11th minute as the Croats burst down the left through Rakitic for Olic to drill in a low cross. And though Jelavic muffed up the chance, Marcelo nicked it into his own net, and the Croats were ahead 1-0 in the 11th minute itself. But Sao Paulo roared again in the 28th minute. Neymar won the ball to cut left and then unleash a low shot that zipped right through a sea of legs, and it was game on. But it was a poor piece of refereeing that paved the way for a Brazil win. Fred feigning to have been brought down by Dejan Loren for the referee to award a penalty, and Neymar sent it in for the lead 2-1. And though the Croats tried really hard for the equalizer, it was not to be their day. Oscar finishing off in the dying stages, sprinting forward and then firing in with his toe to land full points for the Seleção. All right, let's take you through what exactly happened in the match. Let's take you through the interesting statistics which will tell us more of the story about Brazil versus Croatia. Look at this, 58% to 42% in the first half. Brazil enjoyed over 70%. It came down a little bit, 58% to 42%. Remember, the first half scores were level 1-1. 14 shots on goal compared to 11 by Croatia, 9 on target. Brazil striking prowess is far greater than Croatia, who had only 4 shots on goal. 7 corners to 3 against Croatia, far more penetration. 2 yellow cards each for both of them, no red cards there. Novi Kapadia, the fact of the matter is that Brazil will be heaving a huge sigh of relief, first of all, that they have started with a win.
Yes, always to get off to a winning start, 3 goals, and I think Neymar is shot ahead in the race for the Golden Boot also. So that is also going to be, a welcome sign. And any coach, what they really want is that you get those 3 points, no major injury problems, and your best player is in full form. And so give Brazil credit that despite adversity, never in the history of a World Cup has there been an own goal in the opening match.
Right.
So Brazil had that ability to fight back, that fire in the belly. They didn't let the heads droop. And I think those parts are creditable.
But the fact of the matter is that, Novi, yes, the crowd actually wouldn't mind the fact that, yes, tactically speaking, it was not a great game for the Brazilians as far as Brazil was concerned. And the fact that what Karim is going to talk about and show us as to how Brazil possibly missed a trick. It was more about the defensive concerns, which which left us very surprised as to why were they playing like this. But on the other hand, 4 goals in the opener, the crowd had their money's worth.
Very thrilling, yes. I mean, it wasn't champagne football all the way. And I mean, that was expected. This is not the Brazil of Zico, Socrates, Falcao and Tonino Cerezo. So, I mean, this is a different Brazil. It's a utilitarian Brazil. Its idea is to get results. Scolari has built a team around his strengths. And the crowd also played its role as a 12th man.
Right.
And, they did peg Croatia back for long periods of the game. But there were weaknesses also, which I'm sure Karim will point out.
Right, Karim, let's play on a different field today. We'll play on this particular field, which resembles, I would say, the Sao Paulo Corinthians Arena. The fact of the matter, the first thing which I have to ask you is that, tell us, did we see the potency in the attacking midfield of Brazil as much as we had expected?
Well, in my opinion, it's in the attack. Normally, when there is that system of 4-2-3-1 formation, especially the movements between the front, Fred, Oscar, Hulk, and Neymar. Must be very, very mobile between each other.
Right.
And of course, this beside the support of Alves and Marcelo. But what we had seen a great performance from Neymar, very mobile, move a lot. Oscar, for me, was also a man of the match.
Yes.
But the big flop was Hulk and Fred. They was very static.
Right.
In fact, if you look at the statistics of the distance,
Right.
Hulk had barely 7,000 meter run on the ground, while Neymar and Oscar had
Right.
almost 10,000 meters. So that showed that it's not a good enough performance from the Hulk and Fred.
Right, now Karim, this is something which we had discussed yesterday. In fact, I asked you at the telestrator that how the centre backs, David Luiz and Thiago Silva, they tend to leave so much of space on the wings when Marcelo and Dani Alves overlap. And that is precisely the place, precisely the position as we had discussed, from where Croatia hit and took the lead.
They could have scored more goals because, as we said, when Brazil attack, And we talked about Neymar getting in, we talked about Hulk getting in, and we talk about the two Polino going also forward. When Alves and Marcelo move up, this gap on the side of the centre backs
Right.
of basically Thiago and Luis,
Right.
they leave gaps. And Croatia had a plan,
Right.
plan based on this, based on exploit. I'm sure they know also, their coach know. So especially Olic had a tremendous game
Tremendous
by most of the crosses. In fact, there is not only one, and all of them was goal scoring chances.
Right.
Because we did discuss that in this case, when especially when the ball was on the side of Alves,
Right.
Thiago have to shift a little bit and be on this position
Right.
before they lose the ball,
Right.
which didn't happen.
Right.
So while he was here, there was a big gap here, and he could not close the crosses.
And precisely that's the reason you have an important player like Gustavo who had to play so much within his own half. The mobility was lost. That link up to midfield did not really happen. Yes, people have watched that Brazil has won 3-1, but this was not the fluent Brazil at its best.
Absolutely. We hope by the time Brazil will get stronger and stronger. But from what we've seen, going forward, there is problems. You know, definitely Oscar and Neymar are doing a great job.
Right.
But is it enough to play against stronger teams and score goals and create chances? And defensively, there is definitely a lot of problems.
So the fact is that, yes, it's fantastic, as they say, modern classical, not classical, neoclassical, modern football. It's fantastic to have attacking fullbacks. But the key to beating Brazil at their own game, and I'm sure, Kareem, you will agree with me on this, that every team must have watched the goal which Croatia scored with particular delight, that the key to attacking Brazil is getting behind the attacking fullbacks. That's the key to breaking the defense.
Absolutely. I mean, every team, if they don't solve that, every team will exploit the Alves and Marcelo both are extremely good attacking side backs. But when it comes to defensively, not only the space that they leave behind, but even in the air balls, if you had seen Croatia, some crosses was on the air and the
Right.
far post, they are not the highest players, and they lost many headers as well.
Right.
On the defensive side.
Right.
So I don't know whether a player like Maicon, you know, which we know very well, could, with his physique, with his height,
Right.
could solve a little bit the problem of Brazil on the defensive side.
Also, Novi, bringing you back in is the fact that, yes, there is an ice cream, very popular ice cream called 2-in-1. You know, and there are a lot of people who have all-round abilities. We call them all-rounders, 2-in-1, 3-in-1 even. Dani Alves, yes, he has given service to Barcelona, also to Brazil as a 2-in-1. But right now, I think it's time up for him to be both the right back and the right winger. He certainly cannot deliver that way.
He's not backtracking enough. He still moves up a lot. And you see, well, this has been, Brazil has this whole tradition from Junior to Cafu to Roberto Carlos, wing backs on the overlap.
Right.
And it's, you know, the importance is for people like Luis Gustavo and to a certain extent Paulinho, who also had a bit of a disappointing match. They have to also track back, cover the spaces, the central defenders move wide, and that is what they were not doing. And that would be a cause of concern. You know, I mean, it's like the kiss of death. Pele said, for once the Brazilian defense is stronger than the attack. But yesterday the defense was vulnerable.
Defense was surely vulnerable. We'll get back to more on this match, but let's now also see what about the mood in Brazil. Well, it seems to be quite emphatic as of now after the hosts beat Croatia 3-1 in this opening game of the World Cup in Group A. The city's hillside slums known as favelas are hosting special viewing zones during the tournament to get residents in the football spirit. Now, fans in the Santa Marta favela watched the match together on a screen outside a bar and cheered their hearts out each time their team scored. By the end of the match, when victory was certain, the streets of Santa Marta erupted into happy screams and dancing. Fans also celebrating, partying at the famous Rio's famous Sugarloaf Mountain. Isa Suarez now gets us more from Rio de Janeiro.
third goal, everyone jumped for joy, relief, definite relief. This is how they wanted to start their own World Cup. This is the tone they want to take. Many fans I've been speaking to, Brazilian fans here, say, yes, we can win the World Cup. Of course we can, despite all the process we've seen. This is ours for the taking, very confident. And why not? I mean, when you have a team like Brazil that we've seen today, they have reason to be confident. It seems, having seen the game, Amanda, it seems a lot of pressure rests on that 22-year-old Neymar. He is the star player. That number 10 shirt carries it from Pele. Has a lot of pressure on his shoulders, and I know you spoke to him recently and he said he can deal with that pressure. But it seems that, speaking to people here, he is the star and he's the one that everyone will be watching and expecting great things from. In the meantime, people are already starting to stream out. No doubt the party will continue.
Right, Nomi Kapadia, the fact is also the fans are very, very happy, but we continue with the tactical breakdown of Brazil. You hardly get a chance to do this, more so when a team has won their first game 3-1 in the World Cup opening tie. The fact is also there's another problem. David Luiz, his best position is certainly not in defense. It should be in midfield, out and out.
It's a bit surprising. I mean, David Luiz is supposed to be good in the air. He did go up once and get a good header. But it's what Karim pointed out, that it's in the defensive duties, dealing with the high crosses.
Right.
That's where there was a weakness. And if Mario Mandzukic had been available for this match, he would have spelt a lot of danger, because the defense was fragile. I mean, it was opening up every time Croatia managed to attack from the flanks.
Right, and also the fact that, now we also talk about the positives about Neymar. Yes, he certainly delivered. Maybe he did not shine as brilliantly as we had expected him. Yes, there are obviously a lot of people on Twitter, on social media getting very, very hyper about the way Neymar has played. But the fact is that he certainly delivered whatever was required of him. He seemed to be wanting the ball, always running hard into the free spaces, taking a lot of responsibility on himself, winning corners, and also the pinpoint accuracy with which he scored the first goal.
Yeah, absolutely. I was impressed with the performance and the attitude of Neymar in the yesterday games. In fact, when they was down 1-0, the frustration started coming to them, and that elbow for Modric, you could see that though I don't think he meant it to elbow him, but after the referee gave the yellow card, he was very mature. He even excused himself with Modric. Another player.
Was it a Barcelona Real Madrid fracas?
Yeah,
it was not Neymar versus Modric.
In fact, I thought about it, but still, I liked the composure and the maturity of Neymar, though the players of Croatia all come and try to influence the referee. And then after that, what happened after that yellow card, he took responsibility. He showed a leadership up front. He did a lot of most of the chances that were created by Brazil is credit to Neymar and Oscar. That was very clear in yesterday's game.
And obviously, Novi, the revelation here was not just Neymar but Oscar, because yes, he scored 2 goals and so deservedly won the Man of the Match award. But you look at Oscar's figures, he was under so much of pressure from the Brazilian media. They said that Oscar, it was all over for Oscar. And the fact is that he was an overhyped player, but Scolari backed him. He had the most number of tackles, most number of crosses going forward, and he was also intercepting the ball. He was all over the pitch, and it was only right that in the end he struck what took them actually to a comfortable goal.
Scolari had the last laugh. I again agree with Karim entirely. Even for me, Oscar was the man of the match. He was wide on the right. He caused problems a lot to the young Croatian left back over there, Sime Vesalko, as well as in the center. In fact, Neymar's goal, it was Oscar who set it up, winning the ball, threading the through passes. Those delightful passes for which Brazilian midfielders are noted, right from Didi to Zico to so many others. It was only Oscar who was providing those passes. We didn't see it from any of the other players.
But Novi, also, while we wrap this discussion on Brazil, at least, I'm sure both you and Karim will agree to a certain extent that a certain Japanese gentleman was possibly the hero for Brazil, Yuichi Nishimura. What sort of a decision was that? And this is what calls into question the debate on the need for more technology so that referees could be challenged if somebody feels that it is a dubious decision. It was clear from the replays that Fred, when he was being challenged, he literally toppled over himself. and he actually won and claimed and won a penalty. And that literally turned the match on its head.
Well, maybe to give Fred his due, maybe the shirt was tugged and the Japanese looked at it in that way. I mean, that could be the only other excuse. He wasn't tripped, the replay showed that.
Or is it because there are too many Brazilians out of work, Brazilians who play in the J League, Novi? Is that what you're suggesting?
Whatever it was, I mean, that was again a turning point of the match, because till then the second half was a bit scrappy,
right,
and Croatia had managed to close down Brazil's free-flowing attack.
Right.
That penalty, really was quite a turning point in the match, and was nearly stopped by Stipe Pleticosa. I mean, Neymar's shot just about entered the net.
Just about entered the net, and that is what it mattered. A big moment there for Brazil. That's where the match turned on its head.